Welcome back to another video, and in today's flight we're going to be jumping back in where we left off in my last video, where we have just hopped off our previous flight up from Adelaide in South Australia. But in today's video we're going to be flying with Singapore Airlines again on their 737-800 up to Phuket. Now we're supposed to have a 1 hour and 10-minute layover here, and we weren't sure how far we're going to have to walk. So thankfully our flight was only 3 gates away, so we're nice and early to board our flight up to Phuket. So today is my first time flying on one of the Singapore Airlines 737s, at least from what I can recall. But when I actually paid for this flight back in January, it was supposed to be on the 737 MAX 8, but I've noticed in the lead up to this flight at the end of March, they started using the 737-800s instead. So who knows, some would say that could be a good thing, but damn, it would have made for a good video. Today's aircraft was originally registered with Silk Air before going over to Singapore Airlines in 2021. And not that I usually look too much into the aircraft I'm flying on, but just for a fun fact, this plane was actually involved in a tail strike on departure from Kathmandu back in 2022, and diverted to Kolkata, India, before being ferried back to Singapore for repair a couple of days later, and of course, being back in service within 2 weeks. Singapore Airlines 737-800s have 12 seats in business and 150 in economy. Today, I'm sitting in seat 51K right over the wing, which has 30 inches of pitch and 17 inches of width. As for entertainment, you have to link up to the Singapore Airlines entertainment app, but from what I can see, there is no map, which is all I really care about. So please inform me if I'm blind, but I couldn't find a map anywhere on the Singapore Airlines app. The seatbacks have all the compartments and hoo-ha, with possibly the only downside being is that this aircraft is the only type from Singapore Airlines which is not Wi-Fi enabled. But since it's only an hour and a half up to Phuket today, I'm sure I'll survive.
Bit of a strange start to this video, I know, but funny enough, we just arrived from Adelaide maybe about an hour and a half ago, and the gate was only about a couple of hundred metres away. Thankfully, we arrived in Terminal 2, and we're now departing on this flight from Terminal 2, so yeah, got pretty lucky there today, because I've noticed in the past it has been Terminal 3, where the Adelaide to Singapore flight arrives, so yeah, looking forward to it.
So since it's time for pushback, let's enjoy the takeoff and make our way up to Phuket. Singapore to Phuket is about an hour and a half flight, which covers a rough distance of 950 kilometres. Now for today's flight, as part of the second leg of my trip, I paid $705 for Adelaide to Phuket via Singapore back in January, which doesn't seem overly bad as it was the best price at the time for the shortest amount of flying time and layovers. Now if you're looking for a one-way flight from Singapore to Phuket with Singapore Airlines, prices in June 2024 are sitting around the $200 Aussie mark for the cheapest seats, and it goes considerably higher from there depending on the day and availability. I also checked months in advance and it doesn't get any cheaper than that. "25 minutes into the flight, we had to navigate through a massive mountain of clouds, and I've said it a ton of times before, but the clouds are different in this part of the world. One of the reasons I love flying around this part is just seeing these colossal amount of clouds bearing down on the plane. Now there's supposed to be a meal service on this flight, however 30 minutes in, the seatbelt sign is still on. During this time, a man stood up as he needed to use the bathroom, crew sitting in emergency seats nearby called out to him asking him to sit down, but he walked off anyways. He was elderly, and I think he mentioned a certain medical issue, so if he went flying, well that's on him, just not good for the rest of us, but I'd also rather not have the smell of fermenting piss throughout the cabin for the remainder of the flight, assuming that was his issue. So once the seatbelt sign came off, cabin crew jumped up in a mad dash to serve hot meals. Now today I had a chicken pasta, bread roll and jelly as my special meal. Yep, special meal, as I'm a celiac, which means I'm gluten intolerant. Now the rest of passengers were also offered chicken pasta or a fried rice with an ice cream, which I found somewhat concerning as I felt they wouldn't do gluten-free penne for everyone due to the expense, nor would I think they'd usually bother with a gluten-free pasta option, as it's usually a chicken breast meal, rice, or something simple. But I have no proof and I didn't bother checking as they're in a mad rush today, so we'll see how I feel later. Overall, it's been quite a nice short flight with Singapore Airlines today, but the question is, would I actually pay the minimum of $200 to fly this route one way when there are other options like Scoot, Thai Air Asia, and Jetstar offering flights around the $100 mark? The answer is probably not, but since this was a two-leg journey, this is how I ended up on this flight. But for now, let's enjoy the landing into Phuket, and we'll wrap this video up at the hotel in Kamala Beach.
And like that, we are off the plane and we're already here at a hotel here in Kamala Beach, Phuket. Yeah, didn't film the outro last night. I actually got quite sick when we got back here. But yeah, I don't think it was from that flight. I think it was maybe from the flight before. I may have gotten food poisoning, but hey, I can't really prove it, can I? So, as you would have seen with my last video, the title wasn't poisoned by Singapore Airlines. So yeah, there's no proof, so we'll just move on, and I'm okay this morning, that's the good part. But yeah, aside from the previous flight potentially getting sick from that, the flight on the 737-800 was great. I enjoyed it. First time flying on the 737-800 NG, And, you know, it's great to be here in Thailand finally. I have to admit, I certainly do like the level of service that Singapore Airlines offers. Yeah, I think they're a great airline, aside from potentially getting sick. It's funny, I'm like 50-50 now. It's like, do I really want to say that many great things? But to be honest, I need to go with how I felt on the actual flight itself. And, you know, it was great. So I think for majority of people out there, they'd have a great time flying with them. And that's the main part. So looking forward to being here in Thailand now and making a couple of videos here in Phuket. I'm actually just about to head out now. It's super early in the morning and just have a bit of a look around Kamala Beach. Maybe just make a bit of a cruisy video today, just looking around the place. Nothing special, no music or anything involved, but yeah, looking forward to it. So if you made it this far into the video, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. If you could hit that subscribe button if you're not already, and if you could hit the like button, helps the videos go a long way. But looking forward to this big adventure about to go on. You know, Thailand's just the beginning of it. Then we're up to China, then across to Taiwan, Japan, back to Hong Kong and Singapore. So it's going to be a great adventure, and yeah. Anyways, it's time for me to go out for a bit of a walk and check this place out. So I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.